Okay, Bismillah, Alhamdulillah, wa salatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah. You're watching Islam Tomorrow. We're broadcasting almost live today, coming to you from Mission Viejo. You know what mission is, right? There was a mission that was established by the Catholic Church many years ago to go out and spread their message. And they put these priests in all these different places on earth and put these little missions together. And they get the local people to do all the work and donate all the rocks and bricks to put it together, and converted them to Christianity. And that's how they did it. People are asking the questions, and we want to deal with questions right now. By the way, I work a little bit different than the scholars of Islam. I don't consider myself a scholar. I just lucky that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala let me have a little bit of idea of some things. So instead of questions, you can also pass up the answers, and I'll try to guess what the question was. Like Jeopardy? Just send me up the answer. That's okay too. Okay, where was I? First question, here we go. All right. Do the Muslims have to wear hijab? No. No. At least not all of them. Not the men. They don't have to. Second question. Second question. Yes. Do the Muslims have to grow a beard? Same answer. Not all of them. Not the women. By the way, if you laugh at this, you'll laugh at anything. But here is, one is asking, brother, please make dua for me to grow my beard. I can't do that. That's shirk. That's shirk. Did you know that's shirk? It is. A man can't grow a beard. Did you know that? He can't. Allah is growing the beard, right? But I will make dua that you'll quit cutting it off after Allah grows it. I'll do that for you, yes. And then, here's another one. He said, what do I do? My wife doesn't like me to grow the beard. She wants me to be clean shaven. Well, I got to wonder about a woman that wants her husband to look like another woman. But anyway, let's see another one we got here. Boy, I'm in trouble now, right? Don't bring him back to this party, California. Oh, God. This is a real question. It says, what do you think is the primary disease in the Muslim community, and how do we cure ourselves? Well, like many questions, sometimes you have to straighten the question out to get to the answer. First of all, I didn't say there's a disease, but if there is one, I think I know what the name of it should be. Because Rasul Sallallahu told us about our condition in the last days, and how we'd be having something called hubba dunya, love for the material world. So I think we all are suffering from dunya-itis. I think that's it, maybe. And the cure would be what? To start giving up some of this dunya stuff and spending more time with the worship of Allah, spending more time with our families. Because really and truly, it's so easy to get hooked up in this world today with material things. Want that new car, huh? Yeah? That big house, come on, man. And that widescreen TV, come on, give me a break. And that surround sound, ooh. And when I got my new games and play them, I can hear all that crashing and dancing around my head. Oh, wow. But what is that? What is that taking the place of? When I'm doing these things, am I thinking about Allah? Or am I thinking about what Allah created? Think about it. Because this is your choice. It's your choice. All through your whole life, it's your choice. What do you want to do with your time? Every single second. I don't know, have you ever seen an hourglass? Any of you ever watched the hourglass, how the sand goes through? Each grain of sand, when it drops, each grain is something you're going to be asked about on the Day of Judgment. What did you do with that time that Allah gave you? Huh? And I just can't imagine what we're going to say when He asks us. Are we going to say, I was spending this time reading Quran? I was spending this time in Sadaqah. I was helping people. I was giving charity to the poor. I was striving in the case of Allah. I was out here, sabilillah, trying my best. Or what? What? Now some of you have a good argument. You have a really good argument, you think, about getting knowledge. Brother, you're going to tell me, brother, we have to get knowledge. The Prophet ﷺ told us to get knowledge even if we have to go to China. Seek knowledge from the cradle to the grave, right? Is it? Those are fabricated hadiths. They're not true. Oh my God. Then you'll come back, but. Allah said in the Quran, read. And because of that, we have to go learn how to read. Well, I got news for you. Start out by learning Arabic and you'll find out that's not what the word iqra means. It means recite, not read. Because the Prophet ﷺ said, Ana ummi, I don't know how to read and write. I'm illiterate, duh. So how did you get read out of that? He didn't run out to a university and sign up for a course, did he? He died, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, without knowing how to read and write. Is that true or false? So how did you twist that around to be a university degree? Huh? And how did you make your children wait until they were 38 years old to get married because they had to have all these degrees and have a house and have enough money to buy the girl, for the dowry for this family? Huh? And Rasulullah said it real clear. As soon as they're old enough, get them married. Is that right? Did he say that? How old were you when you got married?
31.
Huh?
31.
You were 31 when you got married? How many degrees do you have now? If you want degrees, go buy a thermometer. It's loaded with degrees. But let the kids get married. Come on, guys. What is this stuff? We got something in Texas, we say, put your money where your mouth is, right? Okay, I had to look at myself too. I have daughters, but I didn't want to get them married. I said, no, they don't, they're not old enough yet. They got to do this, they got to do that. And basically, I don't want to let them go. That's what the truth is. Then who's going to wash the dishes if all these girls leave? Me? I don't think so. Tell the truth, right? But I said, no, I got to do it. This is what Islam says. So alhamdulillah, Allah made a beautiful story for her to get married. The first one is unbelievable. Her husband's here tonight and he's already turned red, so alhamdulillah. Might as well tell the rest of it. Well, they got married, you believe it? Allah made it so beautiful. They met, where? In Medina. I took her to Medina with the idea, we're going to make Hajj too. My wife is with us. But also I had a second agenda. Before we put on ihram, because once you put on ihram, there's no deal about marriage. Leave it alone, because you're there for Hajj. But until you put that on, you can talk about it. So they got to meet. It was like a love story in the book. And they met. And of course, we're all sitting there, And I know his family, and I was talking with his mom about the situation, and I know he's mad at me right now. I'm not going to tell the part where your mother sold you to me for that. Anyhow, oops. Anyway, we just love their family so much. We get along good and everything, and then they got to meet each other. But they were so shy they wouldn't talk. They were looking at like, you'd say something. Both of them. Alhamdulillah. I told him, I said, in the morning we got to go. We got to leave out to go for Hajj. So what do you say? And he and I he was just like he is tonight, taking me around different places. And then I said, okay, what do you think? And he's going, huh? I said, get married now, tonight. How? So we went over to the Prophet's masjid, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and right outside the door to the entrance of it, we laid down some like blankets or something. We sat down there, and we did the whole marriage thing right there, wrote it all out. The ladies on one little area, boys on another area, and then we got her to sign it, and everything was done right there. And it was really sweet. And the one brother with us, he was saying, Zawaj, Zawaj, and which means marriage, marriage. And he was saying, make dua, and he was all excited, handing out dates and all kind of stuff. A brother from Indonesia passed by. Don't know who he was, never gave his name, nothing. He stopped and he got all excited, he started crying, he started making beautiful dua. Unbelievable dua, and then he just like disappeared. Where did he go? We didn't know. And it was so great, you know what? And then they opened the doors to the masjid back up, and we got to go in and be close to the Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam and make salah in there. And then in the morning we put on the ihram and we left him sitting there. And she's looking at the bus with these. Alhamdulillah. A few days later, alhamdulillah, it's very beautiful. I get a knock on the hotel door. I open the door. Who's standing there wearing ihram? Somehow he managed to get down there. Students, by the way, they don't let them just take off and go do stuff like this. But alhamdulillah, he managed to come down and did Hajj with us. Isn't that great? So if you really have sincere commitment to Allah, He makes things easy and He makes them beautiful for you. But it always starts with you. You have to initiate it. But if you come to Allah walking, He comes to you running. If you come to Him a handspan, He comes to your arm's length. And you know what this means. You do a little, Allah does a lot. So always initiate that. If you think we have a disease, if you see that in us, then what can you do? Immediately start correcting yourself. Because that's where it starts. I'm not going to be able to change the world by going to Mr. Bush or anybody else and tell them anything. They don't listen to me. But I can do a lot by changing me and my family and the people around me. And that's really what it's all about. That's my personal advice to me. See if it works for you. Next question. Oh, he wants to know, what were the details we added to the speech from David Millikan that made the people do the Shahada? Absolutely nothing. It wasn't me. It was Allah guided the people. I've never ever really succeeded in getting people to come to Islam. Never. Allah did it and I was standing there. I swear that's all it is. I'll be talking and giving my strongest sales points and Islam, Islam, and they walk away. And other times I'm messing all up. I'm going, where's my book? And they go, okay, I'm ready to do Shahada. It's not like, don't think I'm selling used cars here. That's not how it works. Even when I've seen hundreds of people at one time, the most is almost like 300 people, 280 actually, stood up and all said Shahada at the same time. Some of them were Muslims that never made Shahada before. Some were, been around Islam a while. Some were brand new to Islam. But it doesn't matter. It's Allah that gives them the Shahada, not me. What's the hardest thing or dearest thing you had to give up in order to accept Islam? Pride. That was the hardest thing of all. There were a lot of little things along the way. I was in the music business on and off for 38 years. We had our own line of pianos and organs, the Estes piano, Estes organ, and we were very proud of that. Well, that wasn't the hard part. The hardest part is just personal pride. You have to admit you're wrong. It's really hard. Preaching Christianity, telling people about something, and now all of a sudden you go, oops. How do you go back to the people and say, oops, guys, you remember that 3-in-1 deal we talked about? Forget that. Remember the cross? Okay, scrap that deal. No, it doesn't fly real well, What was it and how did you overcome the circumstance? Only Allah saved me. Only Allah saved me, because really it got really tough a couple times and I didn't know what I was going to do. And I said so. I don't know what I'm going to do next. And then Allah would make some way real obvious to me and real easy for me. Alhamdulillah. So just as Allah gives you the test, He's the one that makes it easy. فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. And usr is the hard part and yusra is the easy part. Is that right? It's hard to say usra too, isn't it? Is it IslamYesterday.com or IslamTomorrow.com? It's like I can't make up my mind, right? It's IslamAlways.com, which will lead you to the other two, plus some others. We have a lot of websites. I took all the websites like that to keep non-Muslims from getting the websites and messing them up, because I knew if they got those names, they could do a lot of bad damage. So we have over 123, I think, domain names. We don't use them all, but we keep people from getting those because we know the damage that they could do with some of these. Second question, can you move here? That probably came from the brother's side. I don't think the sisters would want me to come after the jokes that I just made about that. Having 4 wives and stuff. Let's see. Okay, this is, I don't know if this is a question or is this a khutbah. It says, based on personal observation, it seems that out of all the new Muslim converts, whites constitute a very small percentage. Question, is that true? Answer, yes. And if yes, why? And what can be done to reach that community? Okay, ask yourself, why do some people come to Islam anyway? Allah guides them, right? And if they came, Allah guided them. And if they didn't come, it's because Allah didn't guide them. Does that make sense? Does it make sense to me? So those who don't want to be guided don't get guided. And in this particular country, not all countries, but in this country, the majority of the white people already have all their salvation that they want. They have everything they want, and they're real happy with it. Okay? In fact, their statement could, instead of being that Jesus is the way, another statement they could make real easy, and I've heard it before, is when you're white, you're right. Okay? So they have a lot of prejudice, and when you have prejudice, Allah doesn't guide you. He will not guide people that are prejudiced, because if you can look at somebody and say, I don't like them because they're of this ethnicity or from this nation or from this group or whatever, if that's all you need just to look at them and you can decide that, then Allah doesn't need you. And He will reject you. So this is a very important lesson for us, that when we look at anybody, we can't judge them like that. Allah doesn't like that. And that is a problem with a lot of white people. And I know I used to be white. But seriously, there are good white people just as there are good any color people. And to get the message out to the people, you have to do exactly what we said today. And that's the answer right there. You know how many people came to Islam from these CDs? You want me to tell you? I don't know either. A lot. A lot. I see it on my website. So many times they come and they say, I got one of your CDs. And you don't know how many times maybe the CDs you made have helped people get to Islam. I hope. But at least you get reward for the effort whether they do or not. And I'm saying that because this is what we do. We did this for that reason, because we saw it work. I tried a lot of stuff. I tried in the beginning, by the way, the very beginning, I thought debating was the answer, because people gave me a videotape and said, watch this tape, it's a debate, and if you do that, people come to Islam. I watched it, and watched it, and watched it, and tried to use stuff out of it, and guess what? Nobody came to Islam. In fact, I turned off everybody I knew. They hated Islam. They hated everything about Muslims even more after I tried to use all that stuff. You know why? Because it's insulting. It's very insulting to go to somebody and say, your book is wrong. You're stupid. You don't know anything. It's very insulting. You wouldn't like if people did it to you. And you would close your mind. You wouldn't listen to them anymore, even when they made sense. 3 cannot equal 1. That makes sense. But not anymore, not to them. You just shut that all down with that debate stuff. It wasn't until I started really studying the seerah, or the life or the biography of Muhammad ﷺ, that I learned what real da'wah is about. If you look at how he operated and how he talked to the people, in 13 years didn't even allow the Muslims to defend themselves any more than just the basic defense when somebody's beating your head in the ground. To put your arm up. That was about it. The Muslims didn't strike back for 13 years. I mean, you know, and we go out here all aggressive and charged up. And I'm sorry, but we act like we're with Jehovah's Witnesses or something like that. You know, and this is not right. It's not acceptable. And so if you want to see people come to Islam, read what it says on this little thing. I highly recommend this thing. You should take it and use it, inshallah. What are the good ways and how to purify the heart? This is a very important part of Islam, is this purification of the heart. And we have 2 things on our website. One's an article about it. If you go to islamtomorrow.com/articles, and read it, or if you will listen to it, we have it on tape as well, because this is something that we desperately need, all of us, to spend time cleaning out this heart. And the Prophet ﷺ told us about the heart and how once it gets so many black spots, it becomes like a rock. And the only way to clean this, and he told us about that. And what is it? Huh? Well, actually there's more than one hadith about it. One is reading the Quran, the other one's remembering Allah, and another one is remembering death. And this will really help. There's a program we have about death too. I highly recommend that one, because when you realize how short this life is, and you think about any second I could drop dead, and it's serious. And it happens sometimes. I say this, and then the next day somebody that was in the program with us is dead, and we go, whoa, that could have been any one of us. That could be anybody, and it could be any age. Death, when it comes at its appointed time, is no respecter of wealth or position or your level of society or anything else. Your education, nothing's going to stop the Malakul Maut when he comes. Is that right? It's very permanent. They asked me to give a brief speech. That's it. There you go. Based on personal experience. Oh, I did that one. I'm done? Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen Huwa Alladhi Ja'alana Muslimin. You know how to write? You've had a half hour to write.
What made you a good self-interested in Islam? Is there any particular...
Okay, this one I will take from the floor. That's a question I always get about how we come to Islam. What inspires people to go to Islam? Priests and preachers going to Islam, and the story of my family, how we came to Islam. Okay, it's on the website under Priests and Preachers in Islam, and you can go to google.com and just type these words: priests, preachers, Islam, and you're going to find something like 2,500 websites with the same story out there. Or you can just go to my website and get the whole thing, because it's at islamtomorrow.com/Yusuf, Y-U-S-U-F. But I don't think the story is really about me as much as it is about other people. Because the person that first entered Islam wasn't me. It was my friend who was a Catholic priest. And I was a Protestant preacher. And my father, who was also a minister. And also my wife. And also other priests, preachers that I knew. So I highly recommend that you take some time, go to the website, and get some paper in your printer and print it out. Because otherwise you're going to go, trying to read it all. It's 16 pages or 18 pages long, and you need to really do that. Print it out and read it, because it's, for me, I lived it. So I can't tell you how much it meant to me, because it's my life. And of course it meant a lot to me. But if you read the story, most people read it, they tell me, I'm talking about non-Muslims, tell me that it turns their life around. They start thinking, wow. Not just because, and there's something you can do, it's kind of like the cheap side of something, like when the debates. Because if you want to just take this as a matter of fact, how could it be that Islam is the fastest growing religion in the world, yet today so much media attention against Islam? How could it be? This is in itself an amazing statement. We accept it right away. Islam is the fastest growing religion. You see people all the time coming to Islam right here in America. And you go to other countries and they're looking at America as like the biggest enemy to Islam in the world, yet people right here are entering Islam. Why? Why? Is that not enough of a question just in itself? Then how come when they say that women are abused so bad by Islam, yet women are 70% of the people coming into Islam? So what's the story there? And then when you start to say that there's no salvation and it's all bad and it's, all the lies against Islam, yet the priests, preachers, ministers, elders, disciplers of all these other religions are coming to Islam. The pundits that I have met from the Hindus that have come to Islam. Hello, hello, hello. The nuns that have come to Islam. How could this be if there's something wrong with Islam? It's not possible. There's got to be, at least your brain should say, oh, let me look into this. And alhamdulillah, when people hear that, they do look into it. It's called the truth. Something that the people of this country have almost forgotten about. Something that we as Muslims are forgetting about because we live in this country and listen to the lies constantly. I'm pretty much done with the questions. Somebody wants to know, here we go. Television, is it halal or haram? Television is halal, as long as you don't turn it on. You had to look, didn't you? It's blank, isn't it? Television, video games, Game Boys. If there was ever anything that you could point to and say that is the work of Shaitan, I just named it. Why? When you do that, are you thinking about Allah? When you're playing those games and shooting all those guys or driving that race car 90 miles an hour, 190 miles an hour, is there anything at all in your heart thinking about Allah? And the answer is no. It's not. The same way with the television. You say, oh, I need to watch the news. You need to watch the news or the naked lady giving the news. Which is it? Come on, guys, tell the truth. Which is it? Oh, we only watch good Muslims, we watch Al Jazeera. The lady's more naked over there than they are now. Well, I mean, tell it like it is. Am I lying or telling the truth? I think most people try to stay away from what I'm talking about because they're afraid. Oh, I don't want people to think the bad thing about me. I don't care what you think about me. I want you to think better about yourself than to sit there and watch this nonsense. And you say, well, we just watch it for the animal shows. We just the animal shows. Why? So you know what the mating habits of the North American bullfrog is. What benefit is that for you? Huh? What are you watching this thing for? Come on, tell the truth. Why are you watching this thing? The cartoons for the kids. Have you seen the cartoons lately? South Park, Beavis and Butthead, The Simpsons. Excuse me. It's horrible. It is so bad. And they take for granted in these cartoons things that when I was a kid, if you even said these words, you'd be eating lye soap. You would not get away with the things these guys say as a joke. And everybody goes, That's how bad it is. And so Shaitan has made the bad seem not only acceptable, even good. Oh, I heard a good one last night. Good? You said good? Yeah, there's these two lesbians walking down the street, and there's a... What? What are you talking about? This is something Allah hates. How can you be saying something that this is a joke? SubhanAllah. Don't you fear that you're in the last days? Don't you think about what Allah has said in His book about those days? Or the Prophet ﷺ has mentioned in his hadith about what's going to happen in these days? Let me close with this. One hadith. It's a big hadith. It's got some mention of some things in it that really should make you jump up and go, whoa, what's happening? Because he mentioned in the very last days we would be communicating with the animals in the sea. Now that was 1400 years ago. Was there any time at that 1400 years ago that people were trying to communicate with the porpoise or the dolphins or something like that? No. But they do it now, don't they? Oops. Same hadith says that a person's extremities will talk to them. Your extremities means what? Huh? you know, the thing that holds your cell phone, will talk to you. And his side will inform him about what's going on in his house while he is away. You know your side, you know where you wear the little clip for your pager that tells you what's happening at home, to bring home a loaf of bread or whatever? Huh? Huh? This doesn't make you get excited? You don't go, oh, what is that? And we live in the very days that the Prophet ﷺ talked about, and we just go right along like, who cares? No big deal. No big deal. What time does The Simpsons come on again? And our children are suffering more than anybody, because today they can't wait to get home from school to turn on their computers or Game Boys and get in front of that thing again, hook up the headphones and go off into na-na land. Seriously. How many will admit to that being a true fact? Raise your hand. And we're supposed to be the Muslims, by the way. How about the non-Muslims? What have they got to hang on to? We're distracted. Shaitan has us so distracted, we're not doing our job. And then he keeps the other people away from Islam. If the Muslims of the United States would just practice Islam, listen to me, 10%, not 100% like the Sahabi, 10% of what they did, Rasulullah said we would get 50 times the reward. And they asked him, 50 times of their time or of our time? He said, of your time. He said, because you see me and you believe in me, but they don't see me and they believe in me. Muslims, alhamdulillah, we believe in Rasul sallallahu alaihi wasallam. All we need to do is just make a few adjustments in our life, and we'll be a lot better off. First thing I recommend you to do is go to that television set, go to the monitor of that computer, and take a pair of scissors and cut the cord. After you unplug it. Otherwise, you're going to have a shocking experience. You've been listening to Islam Tomorrow. We've been broadcasting live today. Visit us on the internet at www.islamtomorrow.com. Our websites are open 24 hours a day, and there's always plenty of free parking. No, I think they can do better than that. Hold on. We're going to do an instant retake on this, okay? You ready? Okay. Assalamu alaikum. Much better. Alhamdulillah Rabbil Alameen. Huwa alladhi ja'alana muslimin. Assalamu alaikum. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar. Takbir. Allahu Akbar.